It is the eve of Wrestlepalooza in Indianapolis, Indiana. There is way too much to talk about for one premium live event where the WWE is going to go head-to-head with All Elite Wrestling once again. They're going to be in Toronto. Obviously, Wrestlepalooza's in Indianapolis. Brock Lesnar just F5'd Corey Graves on Monday Night Raw. I mean, when was the last time Corey Graves took a motherfucking bump on WWE TV? It's been decades since Corey Graves has taken a bump. It's got to be 10-plus years. So he's out, and I'm assuming Pat McAfee's going to be in on commentary. But I digress. Wrestlepalooza is going to be one of probably the biggest WWE PLE. They're going to make it the biggest show with the most shocking surprises and the most shocking outcomes, and probably some of the biggest headlines going into Perth, Australia at Crown Jewel next month, because this is the WWE's first ever premium live event ever with their new ESPN deal. They are no longer on Peacock. They are no longer anywhere else. You can't catch this one on Netflix. That's only Raw. You can't catch it on the USA Network. You can't catch it on pay-per-view. You can't catch it anywhere but ESPN and ESPN+. The Usos, the greatest tag team of all time, man. Jimmy and Jay are going to take on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. A little bit of an LA Knight twist in that match. There could be a heel turn from Jey Uso. There could be a heel turn from LA Knight. We really don't know. We're going to see the show kick off with probably one of the greatest rivalries of all time in John Cena taking on Brock Lesnar one final time to kick off the show. Something big's got to happen there. Some say Cena's going over. Some saying it's stupid if Cena goes over. We got AJ Lee returning to the ring for the first time in over 10 years when she teams with her husband CM Punk to take on the team of Seth freaking Rollins, the World Heavyweight Champion, and his wife, the Women's Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch. I'm assuming, since Cena and Lesnar is opening the show, that match is going to close the show, and I think, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but I think that match is going to have a massive moment in it that is going to take CM Punk and Seth Rollins' rivalry to a whole new level of hate. So let's get into it from top to bottom. We talked about the Usos and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed facing off in a tag team match. I'd love to start there. The Usos are going to be teaming up together in a premium live event for the first time since, I believe, Money in the Bank 2023, when they took on Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa in the Bloodline Civil War in London, England at Money in the Bank. It's been that long, almost 2.5 years to be exact. Jey Uso's gone on to Yeet Mania. He became World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania. Jimmy, had a singles match with his brother Jay at WrestleMania 40. It was kind of lackluster. They had that moment going through the table in the main event of WrestleMania 40 on night 2 in the Cody Rhodes-Roman Reigns match. Jimmy hasn't had as much singles success as his brother, even though he technically came up with Yeet. But now they're a tag team again, at least for one night only, because we don't know what's going to happen with this whole Jey Uso and LA Knight thing. Will LA Knight turn heel? He could turn heel. I think he'd benefit from a heel turn at this point in his story. I also think Jey Uso could benefit from a heel turn at this point in his story, considering all facts pointing towards Roman Reigns just kind of being in his ear. Jey Uso, week by week, over the last 3 weeks, has kind of acted like the tribal chief. He's acted like he's had the Ulafala around his neck. He's acted like he's the head of the table. Jimmy Uso says, I don't see no damn Ulafala around your neck. You're starting to not sound like yourself there, Jay. You're starting to sound like Roman. He's starting to sound like the tribal chief, because Roman went on a tyrant run for 4.5 years, and not only did he go on a tyrant run against all competitors and all challengers, he went on a tyrant run against his own family. Jey Uso receiving the brunt of that. Jimmy Uso receiving the brunt of that. Sami Zayn eventually seeing the brunt of that in that whole Bloodline saga. Jey Uso is starting to become what he has hated all along. He's starting to become, that authoritative character, that character that says, I lead my family, I lead by example. They're going to acknowledge us, and we're going to smash them all, word by word, coming from the mouth of Jey Uso that originally came from the mouth of Roman Reigns. So this tag team match, though star-studded, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, I think, are in desperate, and I've been saying this for months now, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed as a tag team, and kind of as singles competitors too. They're teamed with Seth Rollins. They're teamed with Paul Heyman, the Hall of Famer. They need a massive PLE victory. Bronson Reed had a great showing against Roman Reigns at Clash in Paris, but he lost. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed had a great showing against Roman Reigns and Jey Uso at SummerSlam, but they lost. They keep losing when they need to be built as these two beasts that can't be stopped. That's the only way that this faction and division continues to grow and continues to thrive and continues to dominate on Monday Night Raw. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, they could spear people through tables all they want. They could hit tsunami after tsunami after tsunami after tsunami after tsunami all they want. They got to win matches, and this is a match that I see them winning, not because the Usos aren't going to be on the same page, but because Jey Uso and LA Knight are probably going to bicker at some point during this match, with LA Knight coming down to the ring, and he's going to screw him over. And whether or not this results in a Jey heel turn or an LA Knight heel turn or possibly a Jimmy Uso heel turn, something's going to happen. And I see this match probably taking shape in the middle of the night. Like we said, there's so many great matches. Cena and Lesnar, Punk and AJ Lee taking on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, the Usos taking on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. We have ourselves a triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship with Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, and Jade Cargill. Not to mention Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre, which we'll get to in a little bit. But this match has a lot of juiciness in the storyline. I see Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed picking up the win here. I think it's the only logical thing to do. Roman Reigns isn't going to be there to help out his cousins. Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso are going to put on a clinic like only the Usos know how. One of the greatest tag team champions of all time, if not the greatest tag team champions of all time, the Usos. But at the end of the night, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker are going to pick up a win with Paul Heyman in their corner, and something's going down. Someone's turning heel at Wrestlepalooza, whether it's Jey, Jimmy, or LA Knight. Moving on, let's talk about Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. This is a feud that started the SmackDown after SummerSlam when Drew McIntyre Claymore kicked Cody Rhodes through the announce desk, not through the top of it, but through the bottom of the desk with Cody Rhodes laying there. And now for the past 5 weeks or so, we've seen Drew McIntyre cut amazing heel promo after amazing heel promo. We've seen multiple Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton matches. We saw a great Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton match last week on SmackDown, leading to the return of Cody Rhodes. And Drew McIntyre had to win that match. I'm all for Randy Orton, the Hall of Famer. He's going to be a 15-time world champion at some point, the 14-time world champion. He didn't need to beat Drew McIntyre in any way, shape, or form. Drew McIntyre needed that win. Randy Orton beat him at Saturday Night's Main Event back in July for whatever reason. But Drew McIntyre needed that win desperately heading into this championship match against Cody Rhodes. Now, here's a scenario where John Cena and Brock Lesnar is the main event, or John Cena and Brock Lesnar was the main event of Wrestlepalooza. That's what the whole event was originally centered around. Now it's kicking off the show. ESPN wants to get as many viewers, as many eyeballs on their product with their new partnership with WWE right off the bat with the John Cena and Brock Lesnar match. I get that. Brock Lesnar's a draw, John Cena's a draw in one of his final 7 events left in his WWE career. With that being said, with that not being the main event, if CM Punk and AJ Lee aren't main eventing against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, then one would assume that the WWE Championship match itself will be the main event of Wrestlepalooza. And if, and only if, it is a big if, ladies and gentlemen, if Cody Rhodes is defending the WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre in the main event of Wrestlepalooza, that could lead to one of the many surprises that Triple H is promising. That could lead to a brand new WWE champion in Drew McIntyre, who is more than deserving of taking that title off of Cody Rhodes in Indianapolis. Now, will they take the title off of Cody Rhodes? He just won it back from John Cena at SummerSlam. He held on to it to a year from WrestleMania 40 to WrestleMania 41 before losing it to Cena in his 17th championship in Las Vegas. Will Cody Rhodes drop the title to Drew McIntyre? I think if Cody Rhodes beats Drew McIntyre clean, this story that has a ton of juice to it probably wouldn't see the light of day following tomorrow night at Wrestlepalooza. I think Drew McIntyre defeating Cody Rhodes would be shocking, but at the same time, fans would clamor for it. I think the fans would not be disappointed in Cody Rhodes dropping that title, especially since he hasn't been on WWE television in the last 5 weeks. He won the title back from John Cena, and we really haven't seen him. We're going to see him tonight on SmackDown. We saw him last week on SmackDown. We're going to see him at Wrestlepalooza. Cody Rhodes could be a 3-time champion, maybe down the line, heading into WrestleMania season, but put the title on Drew McIntyre if that is indeed main eventing the show. It would shock fans around the world, and quite frankly, it would be a pleasant surprise to see Drew McIntyre win the WWE Championship from Cody Rhodes. So that's my take going into the match. If it's the main event, big if it's the main event, Drew McIntyre goes over. If not, I don't see Cody Rhodes dropping the title if it's not the main event. And then they find another way to prolong that story between Cody and Drew heading into the fall and heading into Crown Jewel next month. CM Punk and AJ Lee taking on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, a tag team match that we couldn't have dreamed about 5 years ago. CM Punk and Seth Rollins have beat the crap out of each other for the past 10 months, leading back to the first Raw on Netflix on January 6th. January 6th all the way to September 20th tomorrow at Wrestlepalooza. This rivalry has been going on for damn near over a year. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, AJ Lee. AJ Lee's the wild card in this one, not just because she's a crazy chick, but because she has not wrestled a match in 10 years. How much wrestling in-ring capabilities is she capable of, and how much ring time will she actually get in this match? How much time will CM Punk allow AJ Lee to be in this match against Becky Lynch? Now, Becky Lynch is the man, one of the greatest, if not the greatest women's wrestler of all time. She could very much lead the way in this match with AJ Lee. She's going to get a big pop whenever she enters. It could be one of those matches where Punk and Rollins are fighting it out the entire time, and then the hot tag to AJ Lee at the end, and then Punk and AJ go over. Or, it could be AJ Lee taking the brunt of it, and we see some crazy spots between her and Becky Lynch, and we see some crazy spots between CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and maybe Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch get the win. I don't know. If I were a betting man, and this is my biggest take of this entire preview episode, ladies and gentlemen of Wrestlepalooza, CM Punk and AJ Lee, in my opinion, not only should go over in this match, but I think they have to. I think Seth Rollins has gotten the better of CM Punk on more than many occasions over the past couple of months. I mean, he pinned him to retain the world title at Clash in Paris after Becky Lynch low-blowed him. He pinned him to win the World Heavyweight Championship after cashing in his Money in the Bank contract in the main event of SummerSlam Night 1 when Punk defeated Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Before that, he has screwed CM Punk on multiple instances. He screwed him to qualify for the Money in the Bank contract. Paul Heyman screwed CM Punk at WrestleMania, so Seth Rollins could eventually win after turning on Roman Reigns as well. Seth Rollins has beaten CM Punk to the spot time in and time again. This is a match where AJ leads her first match back. She's going to have a strong showing. I see CM Punk and AJ Lee defeating Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Whether that's AJ pinning Becky Lynch to further along that title storyline for the Intercontinental Championship, which I think we're going to see, or CM Punk can pin Seth Rollins, which would allow him to, have a say of I'm the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then you have CM Punk versus Seth Rollins in Crown Jewel in Perth, Australia for the World Heavyweight Championship. Here's the caveat. Here's my bold prediction that may or may not happen. Maybe WWE doesn't have the balls to do it in their first ever premium live event on ESPN and ESPN Plus. My biggest, boldest take from this match is that CM Punk and AJ Lee are going to defeat Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, but there's going to be a post-match brawl between the four that is going to lead to Seth freaking Rollins curb stomping AJ Lee. Talk about a massive moment and a massive PLE that you want eyeballs on ESPN and ESPN Plus, and also a moment that will take the CM Punk and Seth Rollins rivalry and take this whole year of hatred between the two of them to a completely different level, leading to CM Punk versus Seth frickin' Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship in Perth, Australia, inside Hell in a Cell. The writing's on the wall. They can make it happen. They could easily have Becky Lynch curb stomp AJ Lee with like Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed holding down CM Punk and making him watch or something like that. It could be something as simple as that, and it would probably still work. But could you imagine Seth frickin' Rollins hitting a curb stomp on AJ Lee, saying he hates CM Punk, he hates CM Punk's family? That's CM Punk's family right there. Imagine that moment of AJ Lee's head getting stomped in her first match back in over 10 years, and then that puts AJ Lee back on the shelf. She can do whatever she wants. She can go back to her book signing. She can go back to her signing. She could go back to taking care of Larry in Chicago. She could, continue to do the things that she wants to do while taking a few months off, and then continuing her story with Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship down the road, maybe towards the Royal Rumble, maybe at WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. But that would 1,000% take this rivalry that some would consider to be stale at this point between Punk and Rollins to a brand new, fresh level that could culminate in Perth, Australia. Hell, it could culminate at Survivor Series and War Games. But that is my bold prediction for Wrestlepalooza, is that CM Punk and AJ Lee are going to win the match, but Seth Rollins is going to win the war by curb stomping CM Punk's wife. And I think that could easily main event the show right there. I think that could easily main event Wrestlepalooza. The match I thought was going to main event Wrestlepalooza, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, is going to kick off the match, or kick off the PLE in Indy after probably Pat McAfee makes his shocking return to the announce desk to join Michael Cole. Cena versus Lesnar kicking off the show tells me that Cena's going over. I don't think John Cena can lose to Brock Lesnar unless it's just like a clean fight. Both men get heavy shots. Both men get massive bumps in this match. Cena looks strong, but then loses. I could see that happening to further Brock Lesnar's dominance and wherever he goes next. And then John Cena just gets to, walk on to his next feud with 5 dates left. I think his next showing is going to be at Raw in New York City. Then he's got a Raw in Boston the following week, or vice versa, before War Games and his final match on December 13th in Washington, D.C. But this could also be an instance where John Cena wins the never give up final match against Brock Lesnar. He defeats Brock Lesnar to kick off Wrestlepalooza in a hard-fought match. We saw a very hard-fought 5-star classic between him and Logan Paul, John Cena that is, at Clash in the Castle in Paris, or Clash in Paris, excuse me. Brock Lesnar doesn't need a win. He's still Brock Lesnar, but at the same time, it is his first match back in over 2 years since being put on the shelf with, the scandal with Vince and Janelle Grant and everything that's going on there. Still actively going, by the way. But Brock Lesnar defeating John Cena makes sense. John Cena's final match against Brock Lesnar kicking off a big PLE. I think they're gonna have the best John Cena Brock Lesnar match we've ever seen. I'm just eager to watch, and I'm going to be watching as a fan because I don't have a horse in the race. Brock Lesnar going over, great. John Cena goes over, great. Let's see what happens to kick off the first ever ESPN Premium Live event for WWE, and that is Wrestlepalooza. Guys, what do you think's going to happen tonight? Do you think John Cena's going over? Do you think Lesnar's going over? Do you think Seth Rollins is going to curb stomp AJ Lee like I'm predicting? Do you think that Cody Rhodes is going to drop his WWE Championship to Drew McIntyre potentially? Or are we going to see massive surprises elsewhere that Triple H is promising? Will the final boss show up? So much is going to happen. Please comment, like, and subscribe down below on our YouTube channel at Jack O'Hara TV.